Roseville Downtown Development Authority meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Elizabeth, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item on the agenda is the roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Supervisor Budney.
Present.
Mr. Anderson isn't here yet. Ms. Pusak is excused. Mr. Ranley.
Here.
Mr. Gergley is excused. Ms. Karn.
Here.
Mr. Jacobson.
Here.
And Ms. Pemberton.
Here.
Our next item is the addition or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or deletions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, is there support?
Support.
Support by Jerry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The next item is our presentations. We have a presentation on the sculpture submissions by Ally.
Hi guys. Hello. Yeah, it's green. Okay, so this slideshow is the 6 pieces that I would recommend to you guys from all of the submissions. There were about 20 submissions, and Ross has the full PDF submission page. It's about 60 pages. And a lot of the pieces don't qualify or go with the guidelines, so there's a lot that just are not applicable to this.
And
But in
Ally,
case anyone's...
there were a couple that were made of paper.
Yes. So there's a lot of different pieces.
One was a painting that needed to be hung. So there were
Yes.
some that just don't
So these are
follow.
the pieces that I believe it just so happened to be 6, but out of all of them that are of quality to even be considered. So, but Ross has the full PDF, and I think he was going to email you guys that just so you can see like the full list of everything and see what's going on. But we obviously don't have time to go through 60 PDF pages tonight. Okay, so the first piece that I am recommending is by Kelly O'Neill. So she is not requesting a leasing stipend higher than $3,000. The total value of the piece is $3,500. And then this kind of just talks about the piece made from recycled steel. Centerpiece and base is painted brilliant red, rectangular piece finished in a natural patina, slides over the top for a perfect balanced sculpture. And then I also included images of which there are multiple locations that these pieces can go, and I have different mock-ups. But I did include one image of a mocked-up location for each piece.
And what we're going to do is have Ally go through all of these, and then we'll go back and discuss each one and get comments or however we want to address them one at a time after you go through all of them.
Yeah, I can give just a general rundown, and then we can go more in depth. Okay, and this is a second piece by her, steel infused glass. There's a detail image, and again, she's requesting the $3,000 stipend. Potential location, Island County. And then we have Nicholas Ashman. So this piece is not completed. This is a work in progress. This image is an example of a smaller version. And he is proposing to have 3 of these clusters. This is his drawing. elevated on a pedestal. And he is also only requesting $3,000, not higher than the $3,000 leasing stipend that we offered. And I had placed this one at Perdino's. I think it aesthetically fits with their restaurant as a whole, and they maintain their lawn, so I think that one would work well there. And then we have Louise. This piece is 53 by 53 inches, so that is, it's wide at the base. This piece is the one piece that we would have to somewhat negotiate with her in terms of the leasing stipend. She's requesting a total of $5,000, and she goes into depth and states what that stipend is for. She would have the surface re-powder coated and would have to pay to transport from having it powder coated and then to install. We have Henry's piece. This is steel, mirrored glass, and colored gels. He is also requesting a higher leasing stipend of $4,000 total, but this piece would not require a foundation pad. He essentially, the $1,000 over the $3,000 he's requesting will go to him installing the piece himself and embedding those legs into the ground. And I had placed this one at the old PNC Bank. And then last one, we have Caroline. So this is a very large piece. It's 10 feet long. And this piece also would not require a foundation. She has installed this piece directly just on the grass. And I had placed this one at the post office. Well, a few.
Okay, so that's all 6, right, Ally?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back up to the first one. I'll start. I'll have a couple comments on this one. We already have a couple pieces that have this patinaed steel. And so I had suggested to Ally that maybe we could have the artist paint that one. You know, we've got the red, and maybe they could paint the patinaed steel a color, so we could add some color. And since the value of that is only $3,500, and we would be paying a lease of $3,000, you know, maybe we should consider buying this if it is a piece that we're interested in. There probably would be an additional cost to paint that a different color or paint the steel. So whatever that is, Ally could get that, you know, price from the artist.
Right.
But I think that's one thing we should consider if it's a piece, you know, the board likes, for another $5,000, for another $500 or maybe $1,000, we could just buy this instead of leasing it if it's a piece that, you know, the board thinks it's worth, if they like it and if it's worth purchasing. So I'll open it up for any other comments from anybody else.
The only thing I'd say is, you know, looking at all of these, none of them jump out that this is the one we really need to have. I mean, I think I would need some time to look at these and see. I don't know if the people, just based on comments that we've had, that they don't really get what we're putting out there. And is it time to get something that they can actually it fits more into what they want to see.
We have an item later on, Jim, in the,
The lighthouse.
in the agenda
Yeah.
that,
But it was my understanding that lighthouse replaces this.
no,
That's what I was told.
no.
Can I make I just wanted to comment on
But,
that.
I mean, that's all. I mean, it's just, I mean, I looked at these and there's a couple that I like, but I mean, nothing jumped out at me. But that's me.
Yeah. So I think that some of the public is having a big misconception that these pieces are permanent. There are so many. I could find probably 100 different cities, even townships, small areas that do sculpture walks. And none of those pieces they're all of artists that are submitting their work. And they're leasing their work out to the city. It's not permanent. If it were to be a permanent piece, that would be, I would recommend commissioning it. So you find the artist that you like their previous work, and then you work with them to come up with a design that is specific to Groseal and to what you guys are looking for. And those pieces, I think, should definitely receive community feedback. But I think these pieces, we are not going to find someone that is going to design a piece specifically to Groseal and exactly what we want it to be for, just to lease it, for a leasing a
No,
a
I'm talking
$3,000
about finding
leasing
other
stipend.
pieces that, I mean, I would think there'd be other stuff out there. Although you said we had 60 or something, and this was the sixth that actually
and
came
so
out.
these
So
artists
not
also
as
in
easy
the
as it sounds.
in the PDF, these are very experienced artists. So they've included their whole bio and resume. This is my recommendation as a practicing artist, that this work is of quality. And they have a resume
there's no doubt
to
that
show for that.
there's no
It's
doubt
just
that
kind
it
of
is, but-
up to you guys what your...
Well, I mean, what we want is the community to embrace what we're doing and not, be down on it regardless of how good it is. That's all. I mean, I just
Right.
want to make sure that the residents, actually embrace what we put out there, whether it's permanent or just, what we're looking at a couple of years and rotating. But even that, it's a matter of them embracing what we're doing.
I like the collection you presented. I like the addition of color and glass.
Yeah, the glass ones are the ones that
Yeah,
caught
I
my
think
eye.
that these add a lot more variation to the pieces that are already installed. They all are incorporating color. But yeah. Wanna?
Yeah, anyone else have an opinion?
I have a question. So are we looking to replace existing sculptures as part of that too? Add to?
Add to.
Is there a
Add
number
to.
that we're looking to add to?
Well, we had budgeted the leasing of 6 additional ones this
Okay.
year. We did 6 last year and 6 additional this year. And the intent would be to give Ally some direction tonight, and we would bring this back to the board at the next meeting to approve.
I mean, for this one, I like the size. I like the height and the color. Some of them are very subdued, and you almost miss them unless you're looking for them. So I like that, some of these that really stand out, something like this, and I like the glass and the color that provides too, and it's a little bit different.
I do like the idea of adding color instead of the patina on the other piece.
Having
as well,
that
too.
painted.
Anything else on this one? So should the direction be to have Ally talk to the artist about painting that and leasing it? And I don't know if would she be in agreement to do that, Ally? Do you have any idea?
I would have to, I don't have a personal connection with her.
Okay.
I've never met her. I would have to ask her if she's willing to do that. I am going to say probably not, because this piece will then be going back into her possession.
Yeah.
Because it is her piece, so she can't, paint it a different color every city that it's installed. This is,
understood.
kind of her work, but
It does have some color, so unlike the other ones that are just patina, it has some color, so it's not as bad. But
grass.
So, do we want to move forward with this piece, leasing it as is?
Thank you.
We need to give Ally some direction.
I think because it has some color, I'm comfortable with that.
I mean, what about, you mentioned the option to purchase and have paint, I mean, just for,
yeah, this
I
one is
just
in
threw that
the
out
purview of,
as-
yeah.
Just because of the cost
right?
versus the cost to lease. We would also have to make sure that she'd be willing to sell it to us, right?
Right, and I could propose to her. I could say the DDA is interested in potentially purchasing this piece, but they are at $3,500. But they are wondering if it is a possibility to change the patinaed steel to a powder coated color, and see just where the conversation goes.
Why
from
don't
there.
you talk to her and get that information and bring it back to us at the next meeting?
But either way, I'm good with that piece, whether it's leased as is or.
Is anyone against it? Since I'm not hearing any opposition.
The only opposition, quite frankly, for that one, I'd only be against it if we're only gonna lease it, because we can buy it for another 500. It kinda doesn't make sense to lease it.
Okay, can you check on those, Ally, and
Yep,
let us know?
absolutely.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Second piece. Detailed image of that. The framework is powder coated black, so it's not that natural patina. She's not requesting higher than $3,000.
And this is 10 feet tall.
Yep.
Where was the recommended locations that you would put in?
I had recommended Island Coney. There's several locations that most of these can go. This one, I'm not fully sure on this one. There are a lot of trees in that area. I'd have to really get some good measurements on if it would fit well within there. But I did try to place all of the pieces near where benches will be installed.
And we're not locking into locations
Right,
tonight.
right,
We're-
right.
So,
Yeah, just
but-
to give an idea.
Yeah, Ally kind of showed it in a location just to give you an idea how it would look out on Macomb.
This next
Bliss.
one's interesting.
Again, this piece is a work in progress. This is kind of a drawing of what he is proposing.
Expect to have it done in our timeline?
So I believe that it needs to be ready for install in a month. But if you won't be approving these, at this meeting, then we are going to shoot for, I think, the third Thursday of September to have these installed. So that would give another meeting in between.
But this would be ready by then.
Yes.
It all
Yep.
work.
Ally, can you go back to the other one? We
Yep.
we really didn't have any discussion on that one. Is
This
there
piece-
anyone
Oh, yep.
in favor of it? Anyone against it, doesn't like it, wants to.
It's your favorite? I like this piece.
I do too.
Everyone's in favor? Okay. All right, you can move to the next one, Ally. And how about this one? Any comments on this one?
This is interesting. I mean, it's really different. Where did you have this at? Was this
This
at,
one I placed at Perdino's,
Perdino's?
and I actually talked to Perry yesterday, and he really loved it. His wife really liked it. I think it fits well on their property, as their swordfish for their signage. So it kind of fits within the general feel of their restaurant.
They need to be, or recommended to be lighted? Is that what the?
He said that it could be.
Do we plan to do that anyway with our sculptures?
Yeah, we do. We just have to figure out exactly which ones, and how many to purchase exactly. Because I know that in one more year 6 are leaving, so we're gonna be left with all these lights. What are we gonna do with them? So it's just kind of figuring out the logistics.
Yeah. Maybe we do half of them or something. Is there a reason on these glass ones that it's blue? I mean, which I love.
So
but,
this is just a mock-up of this piece. This is a small scale version that already exists. So he may be open to.
No, I just
doing a
wondered if
different
there was a
color.
reason, because the one we have down by Forest or Law is the blue, and
Right.
this is the blue. Is that just the color they use, or I just wondered?
It's all up to the artist.
Okay,
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
he feels.
They all have their own
Yeah.
way and style of working and their own practice. So, yeah. I don't know if it has. I don't believe it is specific to having any type of significance other than it's just the color that he chose within this work.
It does make it seeable. I mean, that one down there, it always does catch your eye.
Right. And I think if there is one piece that kind of fits in with the aesthetic of Grove's Eel, this one feels very aquatic-like to me. So hopefully people will respond well to this one. I personally love it.
Is there any objections to moving forward with this one?
What's the line? It's like an unfinished. It says painted brilliant red. What is painted brilliant red?
Yeah, that almost looks like a sentence. Part of the sentence is missing, because it is the tail end of a sentence, and we.
Oh, this got copied from. Yeah, sorry about that. This is copied from Kelly's piece.
Okay.
All
Makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, this first sentence is the only thing that applies to his piece for additional details. I think that just got copied and pasted. Okay. And then we have the box. So this piece was on loan in Eastern Market for several years. If accepted for one of your sites, I would have the surface color refreshed and re-powder coated in a rich orange, sandblasting powder coating. The surface will cost between $700 to $1,000 for this size sculpture. I need to transport to and from powder coat shop, then transport and install. I'm requesting a total stipend of $5,000 with $3,000 upfront to cover my expenses in 2002 year of loan. I've been working as a professional sculptor in the Detroit area for over 40 years. A sculpture price to purchase is $21,000. The price is based on previously sold sculpture, years of creative ideas, cost of material, fabrication, shipping, installation, tools, and powder coating cost. FYI, sculpture is welded to bottom aluminum plate 46 by 55, and then last sentence, I cannot include insurance within this budget. So this is the one piece that I do enjoy this piece. I think it's up to you guys if you are interested in it, but not willing to do the $5,000 and cover the full insurance of that. We'd have to kind of talk with her on what she's willing to compromise with.
And Ally, this comes with a base already, so we
It's-
would,
Oh, it's with the
It's
aluminum
on a
plate.
steel plate. Yep.
The-
So it's not this.
Okay.
That base is
Yep.
not.
okay, so we would need to provide a
Yeah.
base for her?
Correct.
Okay. So our sort of normal lease rate of $1,500 a year for 2 years would be $3,000, and she wants 5.
Correct.
So we would, if we wanted this piece, we would end up paying her basically $2,500 a year, or $3,000 upfront and then 2,
Correct.
so.
For her costs
And the
for
insurance.
installation.
Which, are we insuring the other ones? I mean, I mean, other than under our general umbrella policy, do we have insurance if something happens to these?
I would have to look into the contract, but I know that our attorneys looked over.
It's a pretty lengthy
It's a pretty
contract, and
in-depth
it-
contract.
Yeah,
so.
it is. I believe it does. It's stating that the artist should have insurance on their piece, but there's
I mean,
wording
it just
in there
means
that
we'd have to,
also-
if we want it, we could do it. I mean,
Yeah, so I think that we're indemnified, right? So if anything does happen to the piece, we're not responsible for it. So I think that if anything happens to this piece, then we would have to reimburse the artist, is basically, right?
oh, if that was the agreement.
In this case, she's saying.
Well, she's saying she's not going to insure it, so
Right.
she's saying, and if we say, well, we're not going to insure it, it would be taking it with no insurance, and it would fall on her.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
it's part of, it's all what we're going to agree to.
Right, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yep.
I'd be interested to hear what people have to say about this piece.
Anybody want to comment? Have an opinion? Yes, no?
I like all the selections.
You're good?
I mean, in the absence of seeing more than 6, this would be my number 6. It's, and
We don't have to pick 6.
And, well,
Yes.
that
you
was
know.
my thought. I kind of agree this would be at the bottom for me, and with the extra cost, I don't know that I certainly would be willing on passing on this. I mean, if everybody wants it, that's fine too, but I certainly could pass on this.
Jerry?
Kind of the same. It's okay, but I don't know if we want to spend the extra cost on it.
April, you're okay with it? Elizabeth? You're okay?
So those are along the lines of my thoughts. I think that it would, you have to weigh out, do you really love the piece and are you willing to do that? And if you aren't in love with it, maybe it's not worth it. And maybe I can go back to her and ask her if she's willing to either come down on the lacing stipend or work with us in some way and then give feedback on that.
Okay.
that's
Why
what
don't
you
you,
guys want me to do.
why don't you come
Okay.
back at our next meeting with that
Okay.
information?
I'd place this at Public Service Credit Union. Okay, then we have Henry's piece, steel, mirrored glass, and colored gels. He is requesting a total of $4,000 for the leasing stipend, so $1,000 over the initial offer. But his will not require a foundation. So that additional $1,000 is essentially for him to complete the installation himself.
Can you just go back to
Yep.
where we see, that's good, that's good. I just wanted to see it. I would think there's Do we know what that frame is made of, does it say? Is that a metal,
Steel.
steel? So you must have some kind of,
And this piece cast, you can't see it in this photo, but I've seen other photos. It cast really beautiful shadows, like colored shadows on the ground. I think it's an interesting piece.
And if we ended up paying the additional amount, we're saving, because we're not installing any kind of base for this.
yeah, so that
Be
extra
$1,000
thousand's
cheaper,
pretty much,
actually.
you know, it's gonna be offset by if we had to put a base.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty much a wash. Have you seen this piece?
Not in person.
Okay, because it's again really interesting.
I believe this was installed in Ann Arbor previously. I have visited his social media page, and he has additional images and videos on there. But it's again incorporating a lot of color, and I think a unique piece.
What's the comments, questions, opinions?
You know, I'd certainly be good with this and with the extra amount. I mean, simply because that does wash out. It's really not costing us more. Just a different way of paying it.
Right.
And it's some, you know, gives us some color. And it is something that's kind of really different from everything else that we've
Right.
seen.
Right.
I know, April, you're in favor, right? You're-
Well, I'm in favor of, like I said, I'm good with all of the selections. I'm not necessarily voting on my top favorites, but
No,
but I'm
just-
in favor of all of them. For
Okay.
the reason I mentioned of the addition of color and glass. I like adding that to this round of works, so.
Anyone object to this one? I guess I'll put it that way. No. Okay.
So a few of us did go through the whole, everything that was
Oh, oh.
submitted. There were 20 of them in total. And she did a good job of picking out the ones that were the best.
Okay,
We do
good.
have a printed out PDF too, if you guys wanted to take a look at that.
Ross sits
Just
down
very
with me
lengthy.
every morning and goes through things, so.
And then
Actually, I go to his office to hide from my meetings, so.
I placed this one at the former PNC Bank, which the building is for lease. This area also will have a bench near it. And then Caroline's piece. The largest piece. It's 12 feet in length. And she is not requesting a higher leasing stipend. And this piece also will not require a foundation pad.
She would just come and install it wherever
Yep,
we
she
decide
has-
is the right location for it.
Be placed on a hard or soft surface.
Yeah, nobody's gonna pick this up and throw it in their pickup.
Installed
right?
directly on the
I
lawn.
hope
This this photo has it's installed at Wasserman Projects in Detroit, which is a really great gallery, museum-like gallery.
Is that another piece in the background there, that pink
To the
and yellow
side.
and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant over here.
Yeah. that
Yeah.
one.
That piece is by Scott Hawking. Yeah.
And where was your location for this one?
So, the lawn that
Post
doesn't get cut.
office. We'll find, something's gotta be going on with
Yeah.
that, because they always had their grass cut, and they did do
Right.
some construction there, and that might have been part of some hang-up, but
I think this piece demands a lot of space. And the post office has, the most open space. It has been a challenge with some areas with, trees and the pieces not being able to be visible or not having enough space. I think that this piece would also fit where I had Henry's piece placed at the old PNC Bank. There's a large grassy area there as well. But yeah.
And before we moved forward on any of these, we would make sure we had the location already decided.
Right.
So we would make sure that those agreements were in place.
Actually, for this, I mean, I think your choice of where to put it, simply because the post office has a much wider piece of property.
Right.
Although it certainly would fit over at PNC, it's not quite as wide.
Right.
I think that works well if we were going to do this piece.
Any comments or questions on this one?
Just to
Reaction?
Ross, did you want to put this in the DDA parking lot since we have room now that the trees are coming down?
Instead of putting trees up.
I mean, she said hard or soft surface, so.
I guess, any objections to moving forward with this one? Nope. Okay. Got your direction, Ally? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Ally.
job. Good job. We'll move on to our next item, which is the approval of the minutes of the June 22nd, 2023 minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at these, and if there's any corrections, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I will make the motion to approve the minutes.
I support.
Motion by Jim, supported by, is that Jerry? Or
Yeah.
by Brad?
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is the financial update, the approval of the June 2023 financial report. Again, I hope everybody had a chance to look through this, and if anybody has any questions. Ross, anything unusual that you'd like to point out in the financial report?
Nope, I don't. You'll see some payments for the murals. Those are the larger expenditures we have. But other than that, nope.
Pretty much our normal payment of bills that we pay on a regular monthly basis. Any comments or questions on the financial report? I'll entertain a motion to approve then.
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
Support.
support by April to approve the June 2023 financial report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our action items. A motion to approve the sketch work by Bo Stanton for Zupke Plumbing in August.
You guys ready?
Michelle?
Okay. I'm gonna go hard for this one, guys. So last month, was it last month that we went and I showed you guys sketches and where?
I know.
I
Seriously,
know.
what the heck, man?
Like, this is a Windows computer? I don't know how to do this. Okay. You guys really loved the freighter. We talked about how everybody here loves freighters. I get it. We've seen them. They're amazing. But I'm just going to go into the historical importance of the Griffin because the artist is really passionate about doing the Griffin. And he gave us 3 new options. Different color schemes. So the Griffin was the first full-size sailing ship on the upper Great Lakes of North America and led the way to modern commercial shipping in this part of the world. The early French explorers named the island Gros Isles, in French, and Father Louis Hennepin, who Hennepin Point is named after, a Catholic priest and missionary, accompanied fellow French explorer Rene Robert. I'm going to butcher these names, so I'm just going to skip over them. Anyways, so
We know who you're talking
yes. So the Sacred Heart Church on Groseal says that Father Hennepin came ashore and said Mass at the location on the east shore of the island near the present site of St. Anne's Chapel. Father Hennepin wrote in his journals about the fruit orchards and wild animals on Groseal, showing he was here. And the north end of Groseal is named Hennepin Point in his honor. So these are the new sketches of the griffin. I really like them. The artist really, really wants these ones to be chosen over the freighter. The freighter is just like a commercial boat. There's not a lot of there is historical relevance to a freighter, but it's just not so much just for Groseal. And I think people here are passionate about the history, and there's a lot of churches here. There's a lot of Catholicism and Christianity. Just feel like God is on the side of the griffin. But
Don't oversell.
but this is you guys. So yeah, this is where I'm at. This was my favorite one out of the color schemes. Here's another color scheme that he gave.
Can you go back to the first one?
Yep.
Okay, and then the second. Okay. And
So
you said
the
there's a
only
third.
thing difference about each of these three of the Griffin is the color scheme.
Yeah, the color scheme. The boats are the
Boats
same.
are all the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. I did have a shipwreck expert on call, but his kids got the flu, so he couldn't show up here today. But I was like, I was gonna fight for this. I told the artist, I was like, I got your back. We're doing this, but you know, at the end of the day, it is your vote. So my suggestion would be this one, but I'll go back to the freighter. This was the freighter. You can't go wrong with any of them, in my opinion. Bo Stanton is like, you know, I've already talked about him. He's amazing. He's coming on August 9th, and he'll be here for a few weeks to paint it. So, yeah, that's it.
I still like the griffin and the history and the uniqueness. I mean, I still do.
I
2 votes for the Griffin.
I'm going to stick
I-
with the freighter. I think the freighter is more of what the overall community would want.
Okay.
So I've talked to some customers as they come in to talk about our mural
Yeah.
and talking about the other ones they're going to do. And I've got, and I kind of explained the 2 options that we were looking at. And actually, obviously they didn't see them, but based on how I described it, this is what more people seem to be interested in. They
The
thought-
Griffin?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Brad?
Is there an opportunity is there another location that we could do both?
I don't think it's in the budget.
It's
Yeah.
not-
Not in our
But
current.
down the road,
Yeah.
do we have a potential?
I guess I think that we've scoped out different walls. There are walls available if we want to continue the mural program. I know since we've
I
put
thought VFW.
the VFW, they're now open to a mural that commemorates the veterans. So that could be a potential for another type of boat that resembles, the Navy. But there are a lot of people asking, how about my business? Can we do my business now? So in the future, if this is something that we want to continue,
Yeah, and we don't want to oversaturate either,
Right.
because then it loses its charm.
but I guess somewhere down the road there's potential for a freighter or a griffin or what have you.
Yeah.
But
I like this one because I like the story, and if there's a way to commemorate that story within the
Well,
painting too.
I think we have someone in the audience that might be able to help get that story out for us, so.
Well, it's not that any of them are bad. It's, you talk about that, do you think people are going to walk down, look at this, and then go searching for the history of it? Who are they going to call? How are they going to do that? That's the problem is Grosse Ile people don't do that. They don't do that. There will be people who will understand this.
I think
But
a
there'll
post
be a
on
lot of
Grosse Ile
people that
now,
won't.
or a
That's-
video about it, a story. We can call in some favors,
Oh,
But
Yeah.
yeah,
there's-
put
But
I was just going to say, what you're seeing now with the art. I mean, a QR code. I mean, even though a lot of the our islanders are they're not
Well,
technically
I'm
savvy.
always told that they don't know how to use the latest gadgets to do any of that. That's what I'm
Right.
told all the time.
right.
Our
But
our
yeah.
community.
But again, I mean, we are going to be putting plaques on all these, so we can there's the room to put the history. The Griffin was the first boat to tell some of that story.
I
so.
think that because of the demographic here is older, they do really care about history. And that's one thing that I have been told when talking about these murals to like my neighbors and just people throughout the community, even the owner of this building, and just talking, they're really passionate
Boy,
about
this is-
history.
Suzuki. Yeah.
I think some kind of a plaque, like explaining even in 2 or 3 sentences the history of this, I think that would help it go over more easily, maybe with people who might be initially resistant.
Where are you going to put these plaques? On the side of the building?
Yeah, directly
And so people are going to have to go park someplace.
or walk.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking of the reality of it. They're not doing that.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the reality of
Well-
it. That all makes sense and that all would work. And I'm not. I mean, if you guys want this, I'm fine. I just don't. I just think we're going to get a lot of blowback, and I guess it's going to come to me and to you.
Well,
I think
mostly
it'll
me.
come to me through the
Yeah, I mean,
Facebook
it's
comments,
Not,
to be honest.
not as much as
Amount of
not
hate
as
mail I've
much.
received on this project.
Well, don't read it. You get you just don't have to read that. Much like I don't.
So far, the
Yeah.
response from all the murals has been pretty positive.
Yeah, it has. I mean, there has been, we have had negative. I mean, literally, like, why did you guys do this? I mean, no, which makes no sense at all. Why did you do it? So there's people that are just going to not like things, just not to like them. So that we don't worry about them. Now, we're talking about the Griffin, but we got 3.
Well, I think
Well,
we
which
need to
one is it?
decide. We need to decide, are we going with the freighter or the Griffin? If it's the Griffin, then we need to decide which of the 3. So, is there,
What I mean is there's three ships in the
Oh, in the sketch. You
in
don't
the
like
sketch rather than the
I
Griffin.
think it's showing motion of the boat.
Okay.
all
Okay.
3 of
All
these
3
is
are the Griffin.
same- is the
Yeah.
same
Yes,
boat.
yes,
yeah,
It's just
that-
3 different
Yeah.
depictions of it. Okay.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, the Griffin seems to be liked.
I'm hearing that Jim is the only one that wants to go with the freighter. Is that?
My vote would be freighter, as much as I love the story and find a way to do that as well somewhere else. But if I had to choose one, I would pick the freighter.
Okay, and I'm going with the Griffin. So we've got 4-2 in favor of the Griffin. So let's move on to the 3 different, you want to show
Is
them?
there 3 or 2?
Oh, there's 3.
There's 3. So this
Okay.
is the first one.
Okay.
This is the second one. It's a little brighter colors. My vote for the first one was because I just feel like you can see the boats more. The swirl is across the
and
top.
just for the first 2, you certainly can see them better.
Yeah,
in
I
this
like the first one the best because these ones, the lighter colors, you guys didn't really like these ones. This was the original. You picked the freighter instead. This one is kind of along those same lines. This one, the swirl is the same, but a little bit more
Yeah.
crazy, which I don't think that the Grosse Ile residents will like how loud these colors are in this one. And this one, it's a little bit more subtle.
The ships just, in that other one that you just flipped from, the ships just don't show up as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, that was my thought. So yeah, that's why I put this one first in the presentation. This one is my favorite.
I'm okay with this one.
Yeah, I'd
This
agree.
one works with me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so
Any-
much.
We good with this one?
And it will be a top to bottom.
We need to, this is an action item, so we need to make a motion to approve, are we calling this sketch number 1?
Yeah.
For the Griffin?
And did we not also vote for the freighter last time, so we have to knock that out? We approved the freighter last time, whenever we looked at those. we
Yeah, and then I went
approved
back
it.
to the artist and he was like, please.
So we now have to not approve it.
I'll be sure to mention that in the minutes. You have the action item. Okay, gotcha.
We need an action to move back off of that, and then we have the action item to vote on this, so.
Okay. So let's have a motion to rescind our action motion to approve
Just say the freighter.
the freighter sketch.
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
I'll support.
support by April.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Now we need a motion to approve sketch number 1 for the Griffin.
A motion.
I support.
Motion by Jerry, supported by Jim, to approve the sketch number 1 for the Griffin, for the mural at Zuki Plumbing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you,
So
Michelle.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our next item, which is a discussion item. And the first item is the introduction of our new DDA member, Elizabeth Pemberton. We typically go around the room and everybody introduces themselves first to you. So we will start at Brad's end. If you want to just tell a little bit about yourself and how long you've been on the DDA board.
Yeah, I'm Brad Ranley. I represent residents, so I live within the DDA. Is the spot I fulfill. I've been on the board since November. Lived on Grow Zeal since 2017.
Jerry Jacobson from Grocery Hardware. I've been on the board since I started April, I believe. Been on the island on and off since I was probably about 15 years old. So.
Jim Budney. I'm the supervisor, the liaison to the DDA. I've been on since November 2020. I've been on the island since '62, so I've seen a lot. And what we're doing here is really nice.
I'm Ron Moran. Been a resident for 33 years and been on the DDA since it started in 1992.
April Karn, and I think, was I 2020? I'm having a hard time remembering actually when I joined, but it's been a couple of years, and then I've lived on the island for 10 years.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. It's nice to meet you. Elizabeth Pemberton. I own Island Holistic Wellness on Macomb Street, and I've been a Grosse Ile resident for 15 years. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you for volunteering and look forward to your input. Our next discussion item is the Island Nights recap. This will be pretty quick, but
It's more of a weather report, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a weather report. So not much to report here. We did have to cancel it. I know there was quite a few people on Facebook that had commented that were disappointed, and talking with some people, like Will Evans here, if people are complaining that we canceled it, it's a good thing people want to show up. It had started downpouring severely around 3 o'clock, which would have been a nightmare for the vendors to set up. So what some people don't really consider is all the work that goes into setting up Island Nights. And even though it was beautiful right at 6 o'clock, right when it started.
At the time, the forecast was more rain
Yeah,
coming.
that being nice was not forecast.
Right, yeah. And we were looking at it at 2 o'clock, and we had to make our determination at 2. And the forecast said there were 3 big waves coming in of storms. There was a severe weather alert until 8 o'clock. So we just made our best, best determination and called it. But August 17th, where myself and Emily are really planning to make this one special. We're going to be reaching out to a lot of folks. We're going to try to really add to this one. And we'll have Bo's painting going up live. So whatever the opposite of a rain dance is, everyone do it, please, because we need this one. we were really excited for the past 2, so hopefully this one works out.
We appreciate all your effort in planning, and hopefully the weather will cooperate in August. So, thanks, Ross. Next item is the lighthouse sculptures. There are, in your packet, there should be, do you have that, Michelle?
I have a presentation for you guys. It's on here. How do I get out of here? Sorry.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay, that was one button.
There you go.
There. The lighthouse. Thanks. Okay, so little background. I grew up on an island in Buffalo, Grand Island, and outside of Buffalo. And I spent a lot of time in the city. There were fiberglass buffalo that started popping up all over the city. Now it's very common for cities to do these fiberglass sculptures that people paint, and it's all over the place. And now there's over 150 buffalo sculptures in Buffalo, and people are obsessed with them. So after hearing about what people had to say about, the sculptures and things, I just looked a little bit more into this, and I found sculptures that we can use that make sense for Groseal if you guys want to do this. So there's fiberglass sculptures of these lighthouses. They are made from a company in Nebraska, Icon Poly. It's family owned. They make public art for public art programs all over the country. The lighthouses are 6 foot 6 inches tall and weigh about 80 pounds. They are $953.17 each if you buy more than 6 of them. And shipping is an additional fee based on location. Honestly, I've shipped a lot of crazy art, and it'd probably be best to fly somebody out there, rent a truck, and drive it back. It's 13 hours away, but that would probably be cheaper than shipping them. I know it sounds
Are you volunteering?
I think that's why Will came to the meeting tonight.
Well, I'll think about it, but let's see if you guys actually want to do this. So my idea would be that residents would be given an outline of the lighthouse. This project, if you guys decide to go forward with it, I think that it should only be open to Groseal residents. Don't bring any outside artists in, because, there are artists here, or there's also the 7th grade class might want to do something. This would be a purely for the public and for the Groseal residents to get involved. So you can print out 100, 200 of these, whoever wants the sketch to be involved, and then they would sketch the lighthouse and they would submit it, and then we would open it up to the public to vote for 6 of them. And then we could take video of the process, little bios of the 7th grade class that ended up winning or something like that, and then have an unveiling event. These are some of them. Other cities with lighthouses have done them. So this is all from the Icon Poly company.
Okay, these are their.
These are theirs.
So,
yes.
yeah, I know. They appear to be a little wider at the base.
Yeah, these are their. They've done a few different variations of lighthouses. The first picture that I sent was the one that they sent me, and then all of these are from their website. So these are all ones that they have done. And that's it. So this is just 2 of them. If you guys want more images, honestly, I am not a sculptor. I do a lot of work in public art, but I'm more on the mural side. And this was just something that I thought would be maybe a nice addition if the public wants it. And I'm not willing to move forward with this project unless it is I would publicly spoken about, either with like a post on Grow Zeal Now, asking people what their opinions are, because people might hate this. Honestly, it's not like what I would call like fine art. It's more of just like a community based. Yeah. So there is like a cheesy factor to it. So I'm not going to put this out there and be like, this is art, you know, because it is a community based project. And I think a lot of residents have had a lot of say about the public art going on here. And from my experience with public art, is like you don't know what they want until you ask them. And we are lucky enough to have forums and Facebook pages that allow us direct contact with the residents. And I think it would be very smart, even though we might not like what they have to say, to use those tools and say, hey, this is something we're thinking about doing. Before we spend money on this and before we work on it, what do you think? Like, either you can vote yes, you can vote no, and then we can go through I will personally go through all of the comments, count them all up, get the feedback, and, you know, apply that to this. I think that when doing a community art project, that's really important. And we really don't know what the residents want. They might all vote no. So I think before we move forward, if this is something that you might think is interesting, like we could move forward with a Facebook post and ask them directly. I think that would be the smart next step. And then maybe come back and say, hey, they really are passionate about this. They really want this. Or no, they don't. Like, it was worth a shot.
And if I may, the reason why we're considering this as well is because we kind of over budgeted for the bench installations, for the cost of the concrete for those installations. So we've had some money freed up, and this idea came across. So it's just something that.
Where do we have any idea where we're going to put them?
Nope.
No idea. That's, you know.
This is just an idea, and we're throwing it out there. So.
The intent way back when we started to talk about this art program was to get the residents involved.
Yeah.
And whether it's school kids or other residents, this is a way that a lot of communities all over the country have done this. I've seen it with cows. I've seen it with goalie masks. Brett brought us
Pigs.
not too long ago. It was a
The
light
light
bulb
bulbs.
that he saw in Nebraska someplace. So this is very common in a lot of communities. And I think this is a way to get the community involved. And I would highly recommend that we go this way. And I would even think 10 would be fine as far as I'm concerned. So
I think the community will really like this.
Okay.
And I think, you know, there's a poll option on Facebook too, which would be a really good utilization of that feature. And if you could provide some of these images and we can get that up there, and
We can definitely work together.
I'd be happy to work with you. People love polls. They
Totally.
just really like voting and then asking for comments on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've gotten a lot of hate mail, you know, in the very beginning of this entire process through Facebook, and it's difficult for me to like read through the comments, but I've actually learned a lot. I've learned a lot. You know, I'm just moved here a year ago, and just from all of the feedback that I've received, I'm very thankful for all of the passionate people on this island and all of their opinions matter. People are this is their home. This has been their homes for some of them their entire lives, and I think that their opinions matter on what goes up here. I just am like conduit to making it happen, but if this is what people want, I think that a Facebook poll is definitely the way to go and to vote on it, because once you have something concrete like that, then it's kind of like, okay, the majority of the people voted, it's going to happen. Or it's not going to happen, but I think that is definitely a very helpful tool.
I think the way you question or the questions you ask, right, is it's one thing to ask whether you want it or not without any alternatives, but would you participate in it? I mean, the worst thing that would happen is you buy 10 of these and nobody participates to paint them.
Yeah.
I agree.
We're going to have to. Each one of us will pick.
I think.
You might say that in there if you guys don't.
But also, like, the sketch process, documenting the sketch process, and then having, like, even just 100 sketches and then publicly voting on that, I think people will get really excited about it and be like, oh, I really hope this one wins. This one has the second largest amount of votes. And I think being able to do something like that will get people really excited.
Great idea.
How do you get just Grow Zeal people doing it? How do you screen out the non-Grow Zeal?
I don't think there's any non-Grow Zeal people on Grow Zeal now.
Oh,
but-
there is. Are you kidding me?
If
You can-
anybody wants to know, I can tell the policy because I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
a
okay.
moderator in that
Yeah.
group. Yeah, the policy is residents, and we do have them
You
ask
do have
questions. However, there are other stipulations that are let through: family members on the island, people who store their boats on the island, people who have a connection to the island. We really try to not let people in who don't have some kind
Okay.
of personal connection. Of course, people lie
I mean,
or fall through
yeah.
the cracks. But we could also, in the post, request,
Yeah.
please don't vote if you're not a resident. And some people may anyway, but
You're going to use our social media, right? I mean,
Yeah,
is
this
a
would be through the
township-
Grow Zeal
this-
DDA to make it clear that we're
yeah,
putting
this
this
is a
on.
township.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it would
Yeah.
be through,
Okay.
through our-
Elizabeth, can you work with Michelle and
I'd be happy
Ross
to.
and help put that together?
Fantastic.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle.
Guys,
Interesting.
Move on to our next item, which is Lions Park. Ross?
All right, so we just got these renderings from Wade Trim. When was that, Ron?
A couple weeks ago, if you remember, we authorized them for I don't know, it was another, $1,500 for them to finish these up for us. And Ross uses these as a attachment to grant submittals and things like that. So we really did need something that we could show what we're trying to accomplish at Lions Park.
Yeah, and this kind of just formalizes our complete vision for Lions Park. Everything, it was a couple year process of figuring out exactly what we wanted this to be. So they're all pretty much the same. However, so in this one, you see the pergola there, the open lawn concept, the water wall, a bunch of seating here, some landscaping around the G&I. You also see the crosswalk painted if we ever get to that point. And then this is basically the same picture, but with the GI painted. So I know we approved option B quite some time ago, so this is it come to life. So I just kind of wanted to show you all our vision and what we've approved, put a lot of work and input in. Now all we have to do is secure the funds. And
The easy part, right?
That's the easiest part about all. So,
On your way to Nebraska to pick up the lighthouse.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah, yep. So, I just wanted to share all this. So,
I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I think so, too.
They
Yeah,
did
that
a
was-
really nice job with
That-
that rendering.
That is an exciting project.
Okay, we'll move on to our last discussion item, which is the Island Glow Christmas tree. Ross?
So I know we're far ways out, but I've talked with Marie. Although we've been doing it for years at Perdino's, I think it's safe to say that tree is in poor condition, and we might have to find an alternative to that tree, possibly hold it at Lions Park, purchase a tree, and have the gathering at Lions Park. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know I'm not sure how long the tradition goes back to doing it at Perdino's, but I just wanted to put that out there that and we got to get thinking about these sorts of things. Surprisingly, I was contacting the guy that does our lighting. He said, people are already purchasing these, so you got to hop on this quick. So that's why I kind of threw this on in July. So, but I just wanted to get us thinking about that and programming that event. So.
The tree at Perdino's is not in good shape. Is that the problem?
Yeah, it's when I first got here, there were years and years and years of lights that had been left on that tree, and it looks like it's kind of dying a little bit. I know that we actually put in some money last year to try to save it and try to improve it ahead of Island Glow, and it's just not looking healthy. So I think the best route is to purchase a tree and have it at Lions Park. But again, we can look ahead to this, next month or the month after, once we get closer to Christmas. But just wanted to put this in the, in our scope, in our vision. So.
Thanks, Ross. Move on to our next item, which is the director's report, bench installations.
Yep, everyone might have noticed driving up and down Macomb Street, GV Cement has been working on pouring concrete. So they're pouring concrete today. I think they're going to pour tomorrow as well, and the benches should be in on Monday. So it's a project we've been working on for a while. We're glad to see it finally.
Just a question, there's just one place, and it's at Nate's old place. That of course that place is in very bad condition, and everything around it is. I mean, if you put a bench in now, literally the branches of the trees would be right on the people's heads. So I don't know, with the owner not being readily available, if that's the best spot to actually put one in. We're putting a new one in down at the corner of East River, and just a few feet down from where that is. Just some thought maybe of not putting that there. Moving the location
I think,
away from the tree.
Right. No. We did shift it down away from the tree a little bit, but it's still in front of Nate's.
It's still under the tree.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless you're going to be able to go in and prune the tree, it's not going to be a bench that's going to be able to be used. I mean, that's how low the branches are.
Right.
They're in really bad shape, and it's just that we can't. We know that guy is not there to talk to.
Right.
Can't just ourselves go on and.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have had these locations picked out for a while. I guess it's too late to change that location. So
it's never too late. They haven't poured yet.
Yeah,
They took out the old, and there's a hole there now.
Right.
But it's not too late.
Ross, I know you've talked to
just
that
a
guy.
thought.
Can you communicate with him and ask him if we can trim that tree up?
Yeah, I can do that.
To make it useful, you're going to have to do a lot of work around with the trees.
Yep. Yeah, that's something that we can work out. Yeah.
There's no ordinance about it being over the sidewalk or anything that.
That's not that. No, it's not. That's just it. It's not. It's all on his property.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So.
Okay, yeah, see if you can reach out to him.
Yeah,
Get
I'll do that.
permission. Any questions for Ross on the bench installations?
Get her done.
If not,
That'll be nice too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's been a long time coming for
Does that
us.
include the trash cans too?
Yep, and at 10 of the 19 benches, there will be trash cans as well. And the trash cans are evenly distributed so that you're not, like I was walking the other day and I had to hold a piece of garbage for a quarter mile before I found a trash can to throw it in. So periodically there will be trash cans relatively evenly distributed across Macomb Street so that eventually you'll find a trash can. So.
Good. Thanks, Ross. Next item is the chairman's report. I have nothing new to report tonight, so we will move on to public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? Hearing none. Is anyone else have any open business? Anything anybody wants to bring up? Ross? Nobody? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Jim,
I support.
support by Brad to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.